Right now, at this very moment, the Atlantic is hurling something at Britain that could reshape your entire week. And here is what nobody is telling you. The rain warnings already in force are just the beginning. 60-mile-per-hour winds. That's what is screaming toward our coastlines within the next 48 hours. But hold on, because what happens after that? That S where things get truly extraordinary. And I'm going to reveal something at the 3-minute 20 mark that will change how you prepare for the next fortnight. But first, let me give you the immediate picture, because right now, decisions you make in the next 12 hours will matter. This Monday morning, most of England and Wales woke up to grey skies. Nothing unusual there, you might think. But here's the twist. While you are looking at those clouds, a band of rain is already moving in from the Atlantic. Northern Ireland, you are first in line. The Met Office has issued the first rain warning, and it comes into force this afternoon. Expect disruption, not might expect. Expect. Temperatures? They were sitting around seasonal average, maybe just a touch below in the north. Southwest England, you are looking at 9, possibly 10 degrees Celsius. Sounds mild, doesn't it? Remember that number, because what is coming will make you forget all about mild. Now here is your first reward for staying with me. By the early hours of Tuesday morning, 3 separate weather warnings will be active simultaneously across the United Kingdom. 3, Southwest England, South Wales, Southeast England, and Northern Ireland, all under warning at the same time. Want to know which cities get hit hardest? Stay with me. As Monday evening arrives, that rain band pushes eastward. Southwest England and South Wales turn widely wet. But notice this, there's a heavier band of rain moving in across the south. This isn't your typical British drizzle. This is the kind of rain that makes you rethink your Tuesday morning commute. Tuesday morning arrives wet. Very wet. Everywhere sees rain. But here's where it gets interesting. Those winds I mentioned, 50, possibly 60 miles per hour on exposed coasts. Southwest Wales, you're in the firing line. Northern Ireland, same story. But it's not just the coast. These southwesterly winds are drawing up milder air from the south. Sounds good? Wait for it. Temperatures on Tuesday across the south could hit 9, possibly 10 degrees. But in that wind chill, especially where those winds are strongest across the southwest, it'll feel considerably colder. Your thermometer might say 10 degrees. Your face will tell you a different story. Now, here's something crucial. That rain pushing northward through Tuesday, as it hits higher ground, it turns to snow. The Pennines see it. The highest hills of Scotland see it. Most of us see a damp, dreary Tuesday, but some of you will wake up to white. Manchester, Leeds, Sheffield, you are on the boundary line. Rain or snow? It depends on elevation. If you live on higher ground, check again at the 1-minute mark. Actually, let me tell you now. Anywhere above 300 meters, you are likely seeing snowflakes mixed in by Tuesday afternoon. But forget Tuesday for a moment, because what the models are showing for late January and early February, that is the real story. And it involves a phenomenon most people have never heard of, a stratospheric warming event. Stay with me, because this gets fascinating. And at the 5-minute mark, I'll tell you exactly which UK cities face the biggest impact. Right now, high pressure sits between Iceland and Greenland. Low pressure runs northwest to southeast, bringing rain to the south and southwest today. But watch what happens next. Monday brings a brief easterly wind. Cold air gets into Scotland. Nothing too dramatic. But then the Atlantic low-pressure systems come barreling in. They break down any blocking pattern trying to form in the north. We turn very unsettled, stormy even, in the south and southwest. London, you are looking at heavy rainfall over the next few days. Not just rain. Heavy rainfall. The kind that overwhelms drains and creates surface water on roads. Birmingham, you are in an interesting position. You sit right in the transition zone. The models show you getting battered by rain through Wednesday and Thursday, but then something changes. Here S, where the stratosphere enters the picture. Bear with me, because this matters to your weekend plans and beyond. 10 hectopascals up in the stratosphere, the polar vortex normally sits in one piece. When it does, we get our typical British winter, wet, windy, mild. Atlantic weather systems march in one after another, you know the drill, but warmer air is pushing against that polar vortex from both sides. When enough pressure builds, the vortex can split. One lobe goes toward Alaska, one towards Siberia, and when that happens, everything changes down here at ground level. The models are showing this split developing. Not definitely, not certainly, but the probability is rising. 48% chance of a reversal in the zonal winds. 2 weeks ago, 25%. That is nearly doubled. Now, here is your critical piece of information. If a stratospheric warming occurs, we see a lag time of 10 to 14 days before impacts reach the surface. So if this happens around the 8th of February, expect impacts around the 20th of February onward. What kind of impacts? Cold, potentially very cold. From the east, Newcastle, Edinburgh, Aberdeen. You worry closest to the source. If this pattern develops, you see it first. Bitterly cold air pooling over Eastern Europe starts backing westward into the United Kingdom. But does this mean snow for everyone? Here's where I need to be straight with you. The models diverge significantly beyond the 31st of January. Some runs show very cold conditions, others show average to above average temperatures. The ensemble data reveals a massive split. Nothing is concrete beyond the end of this month. However, and this is important, there is a clustering of colder runs. You could dismiss them as outliers. But when multiple models from different centers show similar trends, you pay attention. The American GFS model shows bitterly cold air through the north and northeast of the UK around day 7 or 8. Low pressure gets stuck to the west. High pressure builds towards Scandinavia. Winds switch to east-southeast, then to a full-blown easterly. The Canadian model? Similar starting point, but keeps Atlantic low-pressure systems rattling in at the end of its run. An area of low pressure sits over the UK. If that clears eastward, we get a proper northeasterly airflow. Cold air is set up to the north and northeast. The European model? By day 9, low-pressure systems slide southward. Colder air backs in from the east into northern England. By day 10, low-pressure systems still move in from the Atlantic, which is the problem. If they clear away, we could see colder air from the northeast. But the alignment isn't quite right yet. Now here is something remarkable. The artificial intelligence version of the European model shows a completely different picture, even by day 5. Low-pressure systems already track further south. It's not as unsettled. By day 6, we are back into a proper easterly wind pattern. This shows how tentative this pattern is, how quickly it can change. Glasgow, your forecast is particularly tricky. The higher ground around you will do well with wintry weather over the next few days. The Highlands, the Scottish mountains, they always do well in these scenarios. But whether you in the city see snow or rain depends on which model solution verifies. Cardiff, you are in the firing line for those strong winds Tuesday. 50 to 60 mile per hour gusts on exposed coasts nearby. The Brecon beacons could see snow as that rain pushes north Tuesday afternoon. The city itself, rain, heavy at times, with those strong southwesterly winds making it feel raw. Bristol, similar story. Heavy rain Monday night into Tuesday. Strong winds, temperatures around 9 or 10 degrees, but feeling colder in that wind. And if the pattern shifts, as some models suggest, you could be looking at much colder conditions in the second week of February. Liverpool, Manchester, these great northern cities sit in a fascinating position. The rain Tuesday, yes. But you are also on the front line if cold air starts pushing in from the east. The Pennines to your east act as a barrier, but they can also enhance snowfall when easterly winds arrive. Let me give you some hard numbers because numbers don't lie. Current zonal wind speed in the stratosphere, dropping to around 6 meters per second. Recent runs had this much higher. This drop is significant. It indicates weakening of the polar vortex. Probability of wind reversal, 48%. That's nearly 1 in 2. Those aren't the odds you ignore. Temperature spread in ensemble forecasts. Some runs showing values 6 to 8 degrees below average in early February. Others showing 2 to 3 degrees above average. That's the swing of 10 degrees between scenarios. Rainfall totals for Monday night through Tuesday. Southwest England could see 25 to 40 millimeters. Some spots could see more in 24 hours. That's a month's worth of rain in a day for some locations. Now, the question you are really asking, will it snow where I live? Here's the honest answer. For this week, Scotland's higher ground, yes. The Pennines, possibly. Most of England and Wales? No. Rain, wind, but not snow. But beyond this week, that's where uncertainty explodes. If the stratospheric warming develops as some models suggest, if high pressure builds over Scandinavia, if low pressure systems track along southern England rather than through the UK, then yes. Snow becomes possible, even likely for some. Northern and eastern areas would see it first. Cold air pools over Eastern Europe, backs westward. Edinburgh, Newcastle, Leeds, Sheffield, Norwich, you are first in line. Central areas next. Birmingham, Nottingham, Leicester. You to see the transition from mild Atlantic air to cold continental air. That transition zone is where the most significant snow events occur. Southern areas, UD need low-pressure systems to track along the English Channel, pulling cold air southward while providing moisture. Possible? Yes. Guaranteed? Absolutely not. London, your chances of snow increase dramatically if this pattern develops. Not this week, but potentially in the second week of February. The models hint at low-pressure systems bumping into cold air, producing widespread snow events. But again, this is days 7 through 10 on the forecast models. Uncertainty is enormous. Here is something most weather presenters want to tell you. The second half of February is where the real interest lies. If this stratospheric warming event occurs around the 8th of February, impacts arrive around the 20th. That's when blocking patterns become more likely. That's when cold air masses can establish themselves. But we are not there yet. We're still in late January. We still have to get through this unsettled week first. So what should you actually do? with this information. For this week, prepare for wet and windy conditions. If you are in southwest England, South Wales, southeast England, or Northern Ireland, those weather warnings are serious. Disruption is likely. Plan accordingly, check drains and gutters. These rainfall totals can overwhelm drainage systems, secure outdoor items, 60-mile-per-hour winds move garden furniture. If you're re-driving Tuesday, allow extra time. Surface water on roads is likely. For Scotland, monitor the snow situation if you ray on higher ground. Roads over higher passes could see difficult conditions Tuesday afternoon into Wednesday. For the longer term, keep watching. The pattern is evolving. What happens in the stratosphere over the next week will determine what we see at the surface in mid-February. Now, I promised you a regional breakdown. Let's go city by city with what you need to know. Southampton and Portsmouth. Monday night into Tuesday. Heavy rain and strong winds. You are on the coast, exposed to those southwesterly gales. Ferries could face disruption, coastal roads could see spray and wave overtopping, temperatures around 9 or 10 degrees, but wind chill makes it feel colder. Brighton and Eastbourne, that weather warning for southeast England includes you. Early hours of Tuesday, expect heavy rain, strong winds developing. The South Downs could see some interesting weather as rain pushes north, possibly some sleet on the highest points, though snow is unlikely at lower elevations. Cambridge and Norwich, you escape the worst of Tuesday as rain, arriving later and less intense. But you are perfectly positioned for any cold easterly pattern that develops later. If high pressure builds over Scandinavia and winds go easterly, you are first in line for cold continental air. Oxford and Reading, caught between the heavy rain to the south and west and slightly drier conditions to the north. Tuesday still looks wet and windy, but perhaps not quite as severe as areas further southwest. The Thames Valley has flooded before in similar patterns. Keep an eye on river levels, the Midlands conurbation, Birmingham, Coventry, Wolverhampton. Ensemble data for Birmingham shows massive uncertainty beyond the 31st, some very cold runs in the mix, some average to above average. The split is remarkable. What is certain? Heavy rain over the next few days. What is uncertain? Everything beyond next weekend. Stoke and Derby. Higher elevations around you could see snow Tuesday into Wednesday. The Peak District will likely see wintry conditions. The cities themselves, rain, but it's marginal. A 1 or 2 degree temperature drop and you are looking at sleet or wet snow. Nottingham and Leicester. Similar situation. You are in the East Midlands, positioned between Atlantic influences and potential continental influences. This week, Atlantic winds, rain and wind. But if the pattern flips, you are vulnerable to cold easterly outbreaks. Leeds, Sheffield, Bradford, the Pennines to your west, the North Sea to your east. Tuesday as rain turns to snow on the highest Pennine peaks. The cities see rain, but you are climatologically prone to snow when easterly winds develop. Watch the pattern evolution carefully. Hull and Grimsby, North Sea coast locations, this week, not too bad relatively speaking, but you know what easterly winds mean for your area. If that pattern develops in February, you're on the front line, cold, potentially very cold, with North Sea adding moisture for snow showers. York, beautiful historic city sitting in the Vale of York, relatively sheltered this week from the worst of the wind and rain. But that vale can act as a funnel for easterly winds. Something to monitor for early February. Lancashire coast, Blackpool, Morecambe. Strong southwesterly winds Tuesday affect you. The Irish Sea can get rough in these conditions. Coastal areas should prepare for high winds and large waves. Temperatures stay mild this week, but if the pattern flips, the Irish Sea influence keeps you milder than areas further east. Lake District, Cumbrian Mountains see significant rainfall over the next few days. This is your bread and butter, really. Atlantic weather systems love Lakeland. Snow on the highest peaks Tuesday and Wednesday. The valleys stay wet. If you are planning walks, reschedule. Durham and Darlington, transition zone between the milder southwest and colder northeast. This week favours the mild, wet side, but your exposure to easterly winds makes you vulnerable if the pattern changes. County Durham has seen significant snow from easterly patterns before. Middlesbrough and Sunderland, North Sea coast again. The current pattern keeps you on the periphery of the worst weather, but monitor that stratospheric situation. If winds go easterly, you know what that means for Teesside and Wearside. Tyne and Ware, Newcastle, Gateshead, the Toon could see an interesting fortnight. This week, relatively mild but wet. Beyond that, the models show cold air backing in from the east in some scenarios. Not all scenarios. Some. The Cheviot Hills to your north could see significant snow if easterly winds develop with moisture. Scottish lowlands, Edinburgh, Glasgow. Already mentioned, but worth emphasising. The higher ground around both cities does well with wintry weather over the next few days. The cities themselves, rain, but close to the rain-snow line. The Central Belt has seen surprise snow events before when conditions align just right. Scottish Highlands, Inverness, Fort William. You are in for a proper winter spell over the next few days. Snow on the mountains, definitely. Snow in the glens and straths, quite possibly, especially Tuesday into Wednesday. This is what you were built for. Just be prepared for difficult travel conditions on higher routes. Aberdeen and the northeast. That brief easterly wind Monday brings cold air into your area first. Then Atlantic low pressure takes over for a few days, but you are closest to Scandinavia. If high pressure builds there and winds go easterly, you see the impacts first and potentially the most severe. Dundee and Perth. Tayside sits in an interesting position between Atlantic and continental influences. The Grampians to your north and west, the North Sea to your east. This week favours Atlantic weather, but the proximity to high ground means wintry showers are always possible. The Borders, probably the most confused area of Scotland this week. Southern uplands could see snow, lower elevations see rain. The devil is in the details, and those details change by the hour on the models. Northern Ireland, Belfast, Londonderry, you are under that rain warning Monday afternoon and evening. The warning exists for a reason. Expect disruption, 25 millimetres plus of rain in a relatively short period. Strong winds too, though not quite as strong as southwest England. Tuesday continues unsettled, but Wednesday might bring a brief improvement before the next system arrives. Now, here's what I haven't told you yet. The truly remarkable thing about this evolving pattern. We could be looking at one of the most significant pattern changes of the winter. Not definitely, not certainly, but possibly. The stratospheric data shows warming developing. The ensemble forecasts show increasing probability of cold outcomes. The deterministic models show hints, teasers, suggestions of a major shift. But here is the critical thing. None of this is guaranteed. Weather forecasting beyond 5 days is an exercise in probabilities, not certainties. Beyond 7 days, it is educated guesswork based on pattern recognition and ensemble statistics. Beyond 10 days, it is barely better than climatology. So when I show you models suggesting bitterly cold air and snow in mid-February, take it as one possibility among many. A plausible possibility, yes. An increasingly likely possibility, perhaps, but not a certainty. What is certain? This week brings wet and windy weather. Rain warnings are in force. Disruption is likely. That S tomorrow and Tuesday. That S definite. Beyond that, the confidence drops off dramatically. But here's why you should care about these longer range possibilities. Preparation time. If you are someone who needs to plan ahead, if you have vulnerable relatives or neighbors to check on, if you manage facilities that could be affected by severe weather, knowing about these possibilities now gives you time to prepare. Even if the cold pattern doesn't materialize, you've lost nothing by being prepared. But if it does materialize and you unprepared, that S when problems occur. So keep watching the forecasts. Check updates daily. The pattern is evolving rapidly. What the models show Tuesday could be completely different from what they show today. And this is where you come in. Drop a comment below telling me where you live. I'll give you a personalized forecast update for your specific area. Whether you in Truro or Thurso, Plymouth or Perth, London or Londonderry, tell me your location and I'll tell you what to expect. Because here's the thing about UK weather, it's hyperlocal. What happens in Brighton can be completely different from what happens in Bristol, even though they are both south coast cities. Elevation matters, proximity to coast matters, shelter from hills matters. So tell me where you are, get your specific forecast. Now, the zonal wind reversal probability sitting at 48%. Remember that number. By this time next week, it could be 60%, or it could be 30%. The stratosphere is highly chaotic. Small changes up there create massive changes down here. If we do see a full-blown stratospheric warming event, the impacts could last weeks. Plural. Not just a few days of cold weather, but potentially a sustained pattern shift lasting through mid to late February. The implications are significant. Heating demand spikes, travel disruption increases, infrastructure faces stress, but also some of you love snow. Some of you want a proper winter. This could deliver it. For others, this is your nightmare scenario. Cold means higher bills. Snow means difficult travel. Ice means dangerous conditions. I understand both perspectives. What I want you to take away from this is simple. Be aware, be prepared, but don't to panic. This week's weather is challenging but manageable. Weather warnings exist to give you time to prepare. Use that time. The potential pattern change later is still uncertain. Monitor it, yes. But don't make major decisions based on forecast models 10 days out. They are simply not reliable enough. What you should do, check your heating system works properly, locate your winter supplies, know where your torch is, make sure your phone is charged. These are sensible preparations regardless of what the weather does. If you're replanning travel in mid-February, keep your plans flexible if possible. Book refundable options. Have backup plans. Not because snow is certain, but because the uncertainty is high. The next video will dive deeper into the stratospheric warming mechanics, how it works, why it matters, what the historical precedents show. Because this isn't the first time we've seen this pattern developing. We can learn from previous events. Subscribe to catch that video. It'll be essential viewing if you want to understand what might be coming. For now, focus on this week. Secure those garden items, check those drains, plan for disruption Tuesday, monitor weather warnings, stay safe. The Atlantic is throwing weather at us. That S what it does. We rebuilt to handle it. We've handled worse. We'll handle this. But knowledge is power. Understanding what S happening and why it S happening helps you make better decisions. That S what this is about. Not scaremongering, not hype. Just solid information so you can plan accordingly. Tell me in the comments where you're rewatching from. I'll respond with your specific outlook. From the Shetland Isles to the Isles of Scilly, from the Welsh Valleys to the East Anglian Fens, every location has its own microclimate and its own specific forecast. Your neighbour might see different weather than you. That's how localised UK weather can be. This is your week ahead. Wet, windy, mild, but feeling cold in the wind. Then uncertainty, then possibility, then we'll see. Watch this space. Check back tomorrow for updates. The models will have evolved, the forecast will have shifted. Stay informed and stay prepared. That is the UK weather outlook from now through the potential pattern change. Remember, comment your location for your personalised forecast. And catch the next video for the deep dive into stratospheric warming. Stay dry out there, or if you're in Scotland, stay warm. Actually, everyone stay safe.